It is Championship Sunday here live from Fortune Hills Country Club in Pocheonchi. 26 degrees and overcast skies, a 90% rate of humidity. The wind 4.7 meters per second. Blowing steady, but not all that significantly here in this third and final round out on course. And wow, the leaderboard, it looks a little bit different than it did when we left you at the end of our coverage of round number 2. Most notably, So Jean, who had been leading at 12 under par, especially with that extra gap with the bogey from Peng Min-ji on her 36th hole, has fallen completely out of this race. She is 5 over for the day through 12. It is Peng Min-ji who leads from Park Ji-young and Yoon Ina. Here is the former, her tee shot at the par 5 13th down the hill from the tee block. Well, it uses the extreme right side of the fairway, but it does stay in play. Steadily improving on her fairways in regulation. 11 yesterday, up from 7 in round number 1. To the defending champion, ENG, this could take her to 11 under and 2 back as she tries for a late surge to try and defend this title. Kisses that off the inside edge and will stay out. She will be forced to try and save a par. And now Peng Min-ji. She almost feels inevitable, doesn't she? Especially in these final round Sundays. No birdies since the 5th, which capped off a run of 4 through the first 5 holes of the day. She's been very, very consistent with driver this weekend. Now Yoon Ina also rocking back on her heels, hoping for a little less pace and a little bit more accuracy, but fails to convert on the birdie attempt. She too will be settling for par. Now Isumi going with 8 iron at the tee of the par 3 14th. Up skip and a roll to the left side is a pretty good effort from the tee. Three under round for her through 13 holes has her in sole possession of 5th at 9 under par. Speaking of par, ENG secures hers. Birdies at 1, 3, 7, and 10 today. A bogey at the 9th. And down to 5 holes to put some pressure on our leading protagonists. Well, that is lovely and drawn to the middle of the fairway, navigating the mounds like a series of ocean waves. It's been a very steady 2 under. 66 in round number 1, 69 yesterday. 3 consecutive pars after finding back-to-back birdies at 8 and 9. Isumi, 4.6 meters. It's about a 50% chance of making it. She's got it. 3 back now with 4 holes to play. What a run it has been. 4 under now on the day. We've seen a handful of those. Yuhei ran at 6 under, as are a few more inside the top 10. This has been a Sunday that has been more conducive to low scores than not. Jay Ream up there with a 66 in the final round, a identical score that had been secured by Chung Se-bin. Hankyung, she had started with a couple of birdies on the front nine. She'd have another at the 11th. Cooled off at the wrong time, and to be honest, she had plenty of work to do today. Only 4 under after 36 holes. The lone birdie today came at number 8. I think she's going to be feeling pretty optimistic about another. And a disappointing day with lots of things to take, learn, and improve on. The rookie with an absolutely brilliant shot. The approach at this par 5 13th. Bounces 5 meters shy, slows down just in time to keep her within a meter. Well, the good news for Bungmin-Ji, she has one of her closest challengers in her group to keep her in top gear. A bit short on the approach, just off of the fringe. Well, of course, every season you start with a blank canvas. Just because you were lights out or on the opposite end of the spectrum one year doesn't mean that's going to continue into the next. And for Bungmin-Ji, it took her 5 events of not climbing to the top step until she finally did so with the title defense of the NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship. And after win number 1, she would have her second less than a month later, the Celtrian Queens Masters, her second of the year. She's in the driver's seat here for number 3. Didn't get the spin. She will get the rollback, though. The pin placement today on the first of the 3 tiers on this 13th. Unionat teeing off at 14. We'll have enough to roll through the fringe, but only just off the front lip. She is in the chasing pack with Park Ji-young, 2 back of Bungmin-Ji with 6 and 7 holes respectively. Between those two, Lee So-mi and Im Gini 3 back at 10 under par, and then several competitors level at 7 under par. This championship Sunday, the final round of the BC card, Hankyung Ladies Cup here at Fortune Hills Country Club. Well, out to 13. Walking it in, but not in a good way. She gave up on it almost immediately. So a 2-putt par with the odds stacked against her. With a relatively shallow approach to this green. So no more distance to gain in the leaderboard, at least at the most recent hole. Narrowly missing to the outside. Will be a tap in as well. ENG at 10 under par. Running out of time to put together a late run, but very much in line for another great finish at this event. Well, with Peng Min-ji having missed an opportunity, the door's open. Ji no, outside as she kneels down in disbelief. Now Yunina, I'm just off the front as well. Just one hole further down on the Palace course. The birdie well has run dry at the minute. Well, she's due. There's no doubt about that. Well, on a day with not much to celebrate, that will feel good. Second birdie of the day, the first since the 8th. Top 5 finish is still within her grasp. Tap and par, 13 holes through this final round, 5 to play. Well, pick up a bit of momentum. Oh Ji-hyun, the sole player to ever defend her title here, picks up a birdie as we move along. Number 14. A 156-meter par 3 on the opposite side of the water and stone feature. Bunkers to the left side, to the right side. You'd expect an aggressive pin placement in the final round. It's been a tough one with only 9 birdies on the day. And anytime you see the pin into an area surrounded by differing shades of color, yeah, you know that it is not an easy place to attack. If you go pin seeking and you're off to the left, the sand's in play. Give yourself too much room above the hole, and then you allow that slope to be able to wreak some havoc. It is officially 8 yards off the front, 6 yards off the left, this pin today. Only 5 players are at double digits under par. It will take at least that to secure the title, and with only a handful of holes remaining, this is certainly Peng Min-ji's to lose. Well, she would have had this distinction to start the day. How different things must have felt on the first tee for Sojin. Oh, much better. Flashes of the form we saw in the first 2 rounds. That took her to a very commanding lead, a 66 in each of the first 2 days. The incredible approach at the last and following it up with a near perfect tee shot. The rough, the fringe, it is almost a must hit. With the yardage, with the pin placement today, you need something to slow you down. Pars here in rounds number 1 and 2. Seven iron for Hankyung. Well, and as just touched on, if you don't get the fringe, you're going to be rolling outside the birdie range. Having said that, if you're too short, it's worse than a 2-putt par scenario. All about how aggressive you want to play. Bogey here yesterday. She is on safely. To the left and rolling back down from the fringe. And I mean, really, with only 5 to go and a 2-stroke cushion, she has plenty of breathing room for a couple of pars. Just can't drop. She certainly has done most of the birdieing on the front 9 here. Yuni now the longest driver by 5 meters over fellow rookie Jungmin, over 240 the average per drive. Starts to make a move to the right. Just gonna find the rough. It is absolutely remarkable just how much rotation she gets, how quickly she transitions from the backswing. Driving through the ball, figuratively and literally, of course. And now Hankyung on 17, a birdie, taking her to the 18th and final hole. Her third of the day, it is 6 under. Into a tie for 15th position. At the moment, and likely for good. The low rookie, the low amateur, rather, 71, 70, and 71. ENG, what a weekend for her, and it is not just that it's a good score, it is knocking on the door of the top 25 as well. Quite a ways into the rough for Yuni Na. Her approach on the 15th green. Doesn't quite get to pin high, but still strikes that very well considering where she was. Jeannie, it's 114 meters out for her. And this is pitching wedge. A little bit more club on just off to the left of the fringe. Hankyung averaging 1.77 strokes on the par threes. It's a short tap in for par. That is now 5 consecutive pars after going back-to-back 8 and 9. 4 holes to find 2 strokes and less. The next shot we see is a birdie. G to get to 14 under. It's got a chance, just a little bit to the inside. She'll head to the par 4 15th and have one more go around a par 3 on number 16. One hole closer to the glory. And it's not just the run she's been on, securing her wins, but it's also the top 10 she's put together. T9 at Doosan, P3 last week at the National Championship. This is deceptively straight despite the slope in the middle of that putt. Might have just had enough on the line if she had got it up. Well, now back-to-back birdies. I'm not sure that I'm ready to put her back in the mix officially, but this is definitely a drastic improvement. Now into sole possession of 6th. Union after missing the cut last week. The 36th Korea Women's Open Golf Championship presented by DB Group. What a bounce back in a big way. Best career finish thus far in her rookie season. Tied for 6th the Lotte Open. To be this close to the first win in her professional career must be simultaneously the most overwhelming and exciting feeling there is. So much on the line. These are certainly not the run-of-the-mill putts that they might normally be. The 19-year-old for par. Little right to left. She's read it well. Three holes away from a career best finish. No doubt the group to be, the place to be, is with this trio. .224 meters is the average drive for Hankyung. And safely away, as is Sojin. Be the 13th win in her career. And 13 under might be enough to get her there. The furthest right of the three, but each nestled into the fairway on this par 4 15th, and the increasingly large group of patrons following them on for the walk. Nicely executed. Ji-hyun now back-to-back birdies as well. Says a lot considering how tough these final few holes have been all weekend long. 9 under, she joins Sojin in a tie for 6th position. Finally getting back under par on the day. 4 back of Peng Min-ji as she tries to chase down her first title here at the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Cup.
어저께 핀까지가 133이었거든. 바람이 이거보다 없긴 없었어.
Well, there's no one quite like Bang Min-ji in closing time. Certainly knows how to get it done. 6 iron, 129 meters remaining on 15. Slightly drawn. Might even be more than a draw. She'll land pin high on the opposite side of the green. But the onus really is on the rest of the field to try and catch up. Only 3 last opportunities for Yoon Na. This her final par 3 of the tournament. Kick to the right. How far is she? Quite is the very simple explanation. Might have been okay on day 1 when the pin was mostly centered, just past halfway, but not today. %, greens in regulation for Park Ji-young. Can she get closer than Bang Min-ji? Move within 1 and put the pressure on. It's much better. The birdie quest is alive. She would very much like to emulate her final 4 holes from round number 1, where she had 3 birdies. Yesterday, after number 10, she parred all the way in. I mean, there's definitely a world where Sojin can go birdie all the way in and potentially force a playoff. She's going to need a bit better shot striking than that. She's gone into the rough. Starts left and stays left. 4 under on the day. Up 5 spots from where she had started. About 4.5, 5 hours ago. Returning to 15. Gee, this looks like it might just run out of speed. The line was there. I think a little earlier in her career, maybe 10 wins or so ago, there'd be a lot more nervous energy. And a few shouts from the crowd might knock her off her game, but this is just an average Sunday now for her. It is par at the last for Chun Ye-sung, matching her low round of the tournament, 68, as she had done in round number 1 on Friday. This would certainly make things a whole lot more interesting. 4.7 meters to move within 1. Starting back left, it's there. 12 under. Park Ji-young. Definitely, most certainly game on now. The winner of the Mediheal Hangugobo Championship, where she was wire to wire in the lead at the end of every single round on the way to the title. It had been her first since the 15th S-Oil Championship. That rocketed her to 92nd in the world. She has continued that upward trajectory up to 83rd. Ginny narrowly missing out on the top 10 of the past two events. He's earmarked for one here today. You'd expect that par to go down. It does. You've taken on a much different energy. Thrilling race to the finish line in store. Junina is running out of holes to make an impact and throw her hat back in the ring. Nothing wrong with that attempt. There's always going to be stacked odds against her. One win in her career on the Dream Tour. 2021, the Torbist Phoenix Country Club 11th tournament of 2021. Her title last year. In this event, the only time she has ever taken top spot. She has a tie for third as well, but that was this year, the Lotte Rent-A-Car Ladies Open. To move to 11 under. Not enough strength on that putt. Also swoops to the right and scratch that. It's actually a dropped shot, her first since the 9th. Taking her down to 9 under. So two champions of this event. The tie for 5th position now, and just 3 names. We have whittled it down to 3. We started with 132 in this event. Junina. She is down 347 meters from the featured group, putting for par. Okay, 2 to go. Well, this is what is in store for us at 16. The final par 3 of the course. The third here on the Palace course. The waterfall, or the water fountain, excuse me, off to the left. The steep drop down the cliff, separating the car path from the water, and then the green. With the pin today, 9 yards from the extreme left edge, and just 12 yards from the back. If you go a little bit long, you stay left, you should have that slight roll to catch you. And Ginny, as we just saw, a bogey here. Jae Uno had one as well. Lee Ga-young, who is on 18 now, just a 1 under day for her. Hankyung. She has parred every single par 3 barring the 11th in round 1. Other than that, 14 pars, unless she has a birdie here today. 7-iron. She's carrying the speed, but she's moving to the wrong side of this green, as we saw from Yunina. Bit of a traffic jam on number 17 for the time being. Waiting to be released. Seven-iron as well for Pengmin. That is following almost an identical path out to the right. A bit shallow as well. So Jean, the best tee shot of the lot by a country mile. Nice and in close with 2 long second shots for the top 2 on the leaderboard. Birdies at 1, 2, 4, and 5. And number 5 was the last time that ENG had one. Been all pars ever since. Slightly down on her season average by 5 meters with driver. Perhaps trying to be a bit more conservative. Looks like another powerful one, but it is another one that she has missed the fairway with. She's missed nearly every other fairway with driver today. I can imagine it's a bit of a nerve-wracking one for her. This is 18 with Park Young looking for birdie. A long-range effort. She's had a few of these with the final shot of her tournament. She would have been there with a modicum more speed. So she'll finish the day a round of 70, tournament score of 6 under. At the moment, that is tied for 16th, which is 3 spots down from where she had started the day. It should be another top 20 finish for Park Young. It's down to 3, but with the most recent events at 16 for Yunina, it is really a 2-horse race for the title, which means we will have either a 3rd win for Pengmin or another 2-time champion in 2022 as we approach 2 p.m. in the afternoon in Fortune Hills in the mountains in Gyeonggi-do. Well, we have 2 long attempts at birdie in store here on 16. The first 18.7 meters away. It starts back on line. It's about 18 of those 18.7. It will be par. Well, on to 17, and after another big-time drive, exactly in line with her season average of 241 meters. Yunina had played that out of the rough, and pretty thick cut of it as it takes all the speed off of it and keeps it well short on the green. Well, the supporters trying to do their parts and willing that closer. Can allow a smirk to escape. She'll be 1 hole closer. Yunina will need a near miracle on 17 to find a birdie. Just biding her time, and as we've seen on numerous occasions from her, she might just need the one to put her over the line. On to 18 with the national champion, Jung. Unable to find her birdie at 18. And she'll finish the tournament at 5 under. An even par round of 72 and inside of the top 25 once again. Commendable performance with everything she has gone through the past few months. Between the ball markers and a miss. Shades of number 18 yesterday, and the second bogey of the round drops her down to 12 under, and if Hankyung can finish off her par, then it is 2 holes to the finish line and perhaps a playoff. Goes to show you that just because it's close doesn't mean it's there. And unfortunately for Bungmin-ji, this is another late round bogey. Well, it was her birdie at 15 that put the pressure on. Maybe Bungmin-ji was feeling some of it. We're level at 12 under. Coming down to the final group and on to the 17th as the struggles on the par 3s continue for Bungmin-ji. Give herself any chance, she needs to be there in 2. 22.3 meters with this first putt. Skirting to the outside. Looping back and still rolling. Well, that will be a pressure-packed par putt. And the aerial tour of 17 now. The final par 4, 349 meters. With another steep drop off to the left, water and trees. And then just before the fairway, 2 bunkers. From there, the landing zone. where it widens out parallel to the top of that left bunker. Would leave you with either a 9-iron or a pitching wedge, if you really catch it well. Then another long sand trap to contend with down the left, and the pin placement today, 11 yards off the back, 10 yards from the right side, with helpful slope if you have enough distance to get it up there. It makes the drive a bit more important to reach for a bit more distance. Seven of 11 greens in regulation. 7 of 11 fairways, 14 of 16 greens. It's a great rip with driver. Bombed down the middle of the fairway. She has served. Zisomi on 18. One more birdie, and she is in line for T3. 4 under, unless she has another birdie to get to 5 under, which would be one of the rounds of the day, one of the top 3 rounds of the day. I think that's heading left. It is, and it's a touch short as well. That's all she has remaining for what would be 68 in this final round. And she's birdied this hole the last 2 times she's played it. And after her bogey, she's gonna need one. You'd imagine these final 2 holes. It will be a shootout, a sprint to the finish. And the 17th green is where they are headed. And it is where we find Uni now. Perhaps the most important putt of her day, one of the most important of her career. And it's overhit. Grabs the inside edge, pops right back out, a la ENG. So it is a bogey to take her down to 10 under. Level with Isomi, and likely out of contention. How quickly things can change in just a 5-minute window. Pars on 17 and 18 yesterday. Hankyung and for Peng Min-ji, a birdie and a bogey. So using just that precedent, identical scores in these final 2 holes. And both powering up with a few calories for the energy, for the concentration, to keep them dialed in to the very end. Oh, Ji-hyun can birdie 18 and also move into the increasing number of those in a tie for third. So Jean, of course, has a couple more holes to pick up a few more strokes. And for quite the finish here at Fortune Hills, quick pause and back out to course momentarily.
Okay.
Well, the second to last pair of approaches. Min-ji is first to attack the green, and that's going to be a much better bounce. Well, as I said, back-to-back birdies here at 17. Would still be a pretty impressive putt, but the opportunity is there. ball is in Jiang's court now. Slightly under the hole by 2 meters and 121 meters out. Needs to be back right. Well, not quite that far to the back. She's going to roll right off onto the fringe. Will avoid dropping all the way down to the rough. And an opening for Peng Min-ji. Well, for the myriad of supporters of this tour, this is the place to be. About 25 minutes away from figuring out who will take the title. Unless we are level, then we are heading back to a playoff. That in itself has some tantalizing prospects. Ji Hyun, her second. Looks like 5 wood, 217 meters to go. She does get the kick out of the rough and onto the fairway. She was trying to reach into. A noble thought. Fortunately, not quite the power to get it there. At this point, we can't even be surprised to see numbers like 246 off the tee from Uni Na. In between clubs at the moment. Trying to decide between iron and hybrid. She's swapped out for the latter. Should be about 190 remaining. That started left. Straightens out mid-flight. Doesn't quite have enough to get there. But some short game play would set her up for a birdie. It would get very spicy if she has a hole out in store, in which case she would all of a sudden find herself level. Jiang from off the back. Earlier in the week, she had a hole out from a similar position. Not to be. That becomes a very important par putt, especially Peng Min-ji can find birdie here. The wind starts to pick up too late in the round. Course nearly 6 kilometers in length, 6,500 yards, 5,950 meters. Definitely one of the longer ones. Not quite make or break time, but a ton riding on this birdie putt. Needs to get left and slow down. It won't. I'm trying to avoid stepping in the line. She has her par, so the opportunity slips by. Her first par here of the event, and the par shouldn't trouble Pak Jiang, excuse me, though the par at the last hole shouldn't have troubled Peng Min-ji. Never in her career has she won multiple events in the same calendar year. A winner in 2016, 2018, 2021, and several weeks ago here. 2017, twice she was able to finish P2, but couldn't get that championship in that calendar year. 2019, tied for second as well. Tied for second is not where she wants to finish this tournament. She has eyes on a much bigger prize. In order to do it, these are the pars she has to have. All done. So we head to 18 with all to play for. Equal footing. And if they are level after 18, they'll get in the cart and do it all over again. Well, speeds up as it rolls past the cup. And with the pressure of the day, that is not a comfortable putting distance either. If she pars, well, then she'll finish at 10 under. Level with Isomi. If she bogeys, she drops out of the podium.
자, 앞에 좀 멈춰주세요.
Well, the honor carries through with the recent birdie. Making sure both she and her caddy are on the same page. The trees are off to the right here at 18. Not just the distance, but with the angle, the pin hidden from the tee blocks. Start left and fade it, ideally. Well, she's in. Avoids the sand to the left side, and so far so good. Whether it is one, whether it is two, it will still be a career best for Yunina. Birdie means that both of those tied for the lead would need to bogey. And that's out of her hands now. This is what she can control. She's got it. Under one of the most pressure-filled moments of her career. It is 11 under to finish the tournament. 134 strokes. And she will finish on the podium after all. Career best in the early days of a very promising one on the LPGA Tour of Korea. Well, the bunker becomes a lot more in play than would have been comfortable for Bang Min-ji, but she avoids it. And the featured group is all away. Everyone is in the fairway. Not much pomp and circumstance with these next shots. Trio of woods, I'd imagine, but then the drama begins. Park Min-ji, Park Ji-young. Who is it going to be? Who will take the title here at the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Cup? We're on the 18th, 54th of the tournament, and we'll soon have that question answered. Well, at this point in the tournament, every shot becomes exponentially more important. Mistakes are compounded, setups can help reap rewards. Park Ji-young, she gets onto the fringe. That could have made it very, very interesting if she had enough to roll through onto the green, but then she still will have set herself up very well for birdie. The longest off the tee blocks. And Park Min-ji reach. Does she lay up? She's walking it in. She likes it, whatever it is. Doesn't quite have enough to get up onto the fringe. So 2 flop shots. And then the putts to either force a playoff or find a winner. Two players inside the top 100. Peng Min-ji, 18th, down a spot after the national championship. Park Ji-young at 83rd in the world. 19 more points up for grabs to continue to make some moves. Quite some company that Peng Min-ji is keeping at the moment. Some big names. Go Jin-young, of course, #1 in the world. Nelly Korda, United States. Min-ji Lee, Lydia Ko, 3 and 4. My compatriot, Brooke Henderson, the Canadian. Fellow Ontarian, 8th in the world. And then 3 Koreans, 10 through 12. Kim Yo-ju, Kim Bi, Kim Se-young, and then Peng Min-ji, the 5th highest ranked Korean golfer across the globe at the moment. It was tied for 11th, the national championship last weekend for her. Missed the cut, the Sultry and Queens Masters. Her second miscut in the last 5 events. Tied for 20th at the Lotte Open. Tied for 35th at the Doosan Match Play. 4th, the Kyochun Honey Ladies Open. Her best result other than the win in week 2. The supporters are excited, but we don't need any of that. So Jean will go through the full reset. Don't blame her. Well, up she goes. What a zip and a stop that is. So a putt for birdie. It would be back to double digits under par. She can be disappointed, but there will be so much for her to take from this week. Well, the rookie's best finish in her career, tied for 12th, 12 titles in Peng Min-ji's career. That is deeper than the putt she missed for bogey just a couple of holes ago. I think she knows that rolled a bit further than she would have liked. And if we want to talk about pressure, this is a grade A opportunity. Park Ji-young. She holds out, she wins. She too will carry a little bit extra. She'll be closer of the two protagonists. They are now being announced onto the 18th green.
레이디스컵 2022 파이널 라운드 마지막 홀그린에 입장하고 있습니다. 소개해드리겠습니다. 국가대표 출신의 루키 하이트빌로 소속 서어진 프로입니다. 다음으로 KLPGA 투어 통산 12승, 2022 시즌 상금 랭킹 1위를 기록하고 있는 NH투자증권 소속의 박민지 프로입니다. 네, 마지막으로 올해 메디힐 한국일보 챔피언십에서 우승을 차지한 KLPGA 투어 통산 3승의 한국 토지신탁 소속 박지영 프로입니다.
Well, the third shots for each of Peng Min-ji, Park Ji-young. One of the trickiest shots to play in the entire sport. Not quite a chip, not quite a pitch. The control so difficult, even for the most practiced and experienced.
박민지 프로, 박지영 프로가
Final pacing from Bang Min-ji's caddy. Making sure all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. Take as much information as possible. And then it's up to execution. Bang Min-ji for birdie at 18. Starts it on a very fine margin and it stays straight. Rolls past the outside, so it's par and championship point. Park Ji-young, no birdies since the 5th hole. And if not for the bogey at 16, that par might have been enough. Park Ji-young in the background nods, understands what's in front of her. The championships, the big paydays, the silverware never gets old. It might become routine. It never gets old. You have to be at peak mindset to be at a level that Bang Min-ji is. This birdie wins the BC Card Hankyung Ladies Cup for 13 under and the victory. No, she's gone inside. Okay, playoff golf again. Wow. You average out those 2 putts and you have one that drains. I think Bang Min-ji even expected it to be done and dusted. She's been thrown a lifeline. Now, having said that, the par still has to go in, but realistically, we know we're headed back to the 18th tee. The head down. 10 centimeters before the hole, she knew. She'll have another chance on the 19th hole of the day. Well, there's always drama, isn't there? So Jean in the background finishing her round. The O's from the crowd telling you that it was a 2-putt for her as well. Well, a difference. What a difference a week will make. A 6-shot margin of victory for Amy Jung last week. She had 7 on Bang Min-ji. Park Ji-young has to have this to force a playoff. As you'd expect, we're not done at Fortune Hills. And cutting through the tension with a smile. And now a shootout for the title, just as it was 10 minutes ago at the tee.
이곳 18번 홀에서 박민지 프로, 박지영 프로의 연장전이 진행될 예정입니다. 우승자가 결정될 때까지 갤러리 분들께서는 이곳 18번 홀에서 계속 진행될 예정이니까 끝까지 함께해 주시고요. 지금 갤러리 분들 페어웨이 위에서 비워야 되거든요. 선수들의 연장전을 위해서 페어웨이를 비워주시면 감사하겠습니다. 진행 요원의 안내에 따라서 따라주시기를 부탁드립니다.
Well, they will sign off on the scorecards, confirm what we already know. 204 strokes, not enough to find a winner between these two. And the devastation of knowing 3 centimeters off to the left means the title's not secured yet, and the playoff is on the horizon. We knew we'd be in for a treat on this championship Sunday.
어제 거 우승자 받으려고 깔아.
64 round number 1, and then back-to-back rounds of 70. Pang Min-ji and Jiang 66, 69, and another round of 69.
박민지 프로님 333770 맞으세요?
네.
70 맞으시죠?
네. 고맙습니다. 저도 더워. 잘 갔다 와. 둘이 잘 싸우고 와. 빨리 끝내.
It was about 2 seconds before the target distance that Pang Min-ji had known. Even earlier, Park Ji-young, as you watch that graze over the left side, and still keeping it a bit loose, but the
403575 맞으세요?
game faces will come on again shortly.
다 시상식 참석하셔야 되고 두 분은 연장 준비해 주시고 그리고 하나 더 이따가 우승자 결정되고 나서 캐디 세리머니 좀 자제해 주셔야 돼요. 캐디 분들도 같이 올라가지 마시고 조금 자제해 주시면 돼요. 우승자 세리머니만. 네. 수고하셨어요. 네,
그러면
수고하셨어요.
여기서 강현진이 조금만 더 주시면 돼요.
자, 화이팅!
Well, as we await the return to the tee, Oh Ji-hyun's first title here in 2016. Kim Ji-young-2's title in 2020, both required playoffs. It was a one-hole playoff for Oh Ji-hyun, especially, and highlighting the fact that there were 3 in contention. I believe it was Chae Eun-oh in one of them. Sung Jung was the other contestant, who was still an amateur then. And Pang Min-ji in 2020 came just short in that 2-hole playoff with Kim Ji-young-2. So a chance for redemption. We're getting to the point where there aren't many events that Pang Min-ji hasn't won in her career. And the supporters will await the return. We'll have a few shots to wait with this par 5. Not quite the same drama as the par 4, which was the last playoff we saw, and it was one that lasted quite a while. 5 holes. Chung Yoon-ji would outlast Chi Han-sol, Lee So-young, and Ha-min Song.
좀만 내려가 주세요.
같은 번호야. 바람 똑같죠?
응?
그냥 앞만 보면.
앞만 보고.
누가 먼저 쳐요?
너가 먼저.
뭐야?
인지가 먼저 아니야?
스타트를 먼저 해가지고 먼저 출발할게. 1번으로.
언제 스타트를 먼저 했다고요?
1번으로 해서 먼저
1번으로 해서
먼저
스타트를.
쳤죠.
네.
네, 걸음 멈춰주세요. 저희 티샷 탈게요.
Well, looking back, birdies have not been easy to come by for these two. And a birdie might be what it takes. Birdie in round 1, pars round 2, and now par in round 3, excuse me, for Park Ji-young. Pang Min-ji, meanwhile, hasn't found a birdie here all week. Par, bogey, par in order from Friday until now. So from that particular stat, this is who you give the advantage to. Back in the carts they go after 2 good tee shots. And again, the drama will pause slightly, or at least rather be delayed. That might be the better way of putting it with the approaches. There are still important shots, but they don't quite have the consequences unless there's a true mishit. But down the cart path they go, back into the fairway. We take a look back at some of the highlights from earlier today. First hole of the day, and the momentum was there early. There'll be so many of these when you think back on the round, what could have decided it, what could have prevented the playoff. That eagle certainly would have been one of them, but it was birdie. Then on the second, from the bottom right of the fairway. And again, the roll, brilliant. Not quite as close, but still a good one. The wheels would come off a little bit, though, on number 3. Having some trouble navigating the par 5. Needed this to save par. Wasn't to be, and then in the opposite corner, from 10 meters out, Park Ji-young says, yeah, no problem, I got this. A brilliant putt. And rebounding from that bogey, the tranquility of the waterfall in the background. She would pick up another, and she'd have one more at the 5th. And again, the interesting thing, the disparity here. 40% of her putts to this point had been one putts. Add another, a tick mark in that column. From there, that was it for the birdies for Pang Min-ji. Couldn't say the same for Park Ji-young, who would have 3 more on the way in. This was her effort for eagle. Her ability to read the green. Unbelievable how close she came. And those putts that she wishes, excuse me, she could have back, this is one of them. She'd settle for par there, as she would the rest of the way in. And then on 9, the final hole, on the garden course. And a birdie, back-to-back of her own. Would take her to 11 under. Bungmin Ji at that point, the putter cooled right off. Too much power. She goes to the inside and it kicks back out. It would be 5 consecutive pars up until the 15th. This effort off the flag stick and down. That was about 35 minutes ago. 12 under would be the score. And on 16, when it was starting to look like parring out would be enough, the par 3s would come back to haunt Minji again. Another one where she catches the edge with a bit too much pace, and it would be bogey. And that is the tail of the tape leading us to this moment. Of course, we saw the missed birdie putts the last time we played 18. She tried to reach last time, came up on the fringe. Does she have a little bit more on hole 19? No, she has a whole lot of trouble is what she has. I think she reached for a little bit more to try and get herself on the putting surface. And that might have just cost her the tournament. Well, the sand completely out of the line for Bungmin Ji here. This time she will get to the fringe. So a sand save and a setup chip from a near identical location. I'll take some of the onus for the announcer's jinx, saying that these second shots were usually uneventful, though I did preface it unless this exact scenario happens. It's of course not the result she was hoping for, but I respect the desire, the willingness to go for it. It's not a completely devastating lie. It's not buried. Get the sand rakes out of the way. .56% bunker save percentage. That is 20th on tour. That is significantly up from 2021, where she was 87th when she only had a bunker save 33% of the time. The tournament isn't necessarily on the line here, but it's either going to make it a whole lot better or a whole lot worse. This looks decent. All right on the line. Check this out. Fantastic shot under the pressure. Perfect contact. Couldn't hit it better. It is under hit. The last time there was too much pace. This time there's not enough. So the roller coaster of the playoff, from feeling like she was 2 shots away from winning it, the best third shot, excuse me, Park Ji-young's and Bungmin Ji's away. she'll be comforted in the fact that this week she has had more success for some reason from those mid to long range putts than she has with the short ones. And while it's a great out from the sand for Park Ji-young, it is far from an automatic distance. The first attempt at birdie. A slight downhill putt. Well, it's starting on line. Bang Min-ji. Finally a birdie again. It's been 15 holes between them. And absorbs the pressure like a sponge and delivers that. There's something about the mindset here to have missed a much shorter putt, have missed a couple from 3 meters, 4 meters to go beyond that, 6.5, 7, and step up in a playoff for another title. There's no one like her on tour right now, and she continues to carve a legacy. She'll have another title unless Park Ji-young can force another playoff. For birdie and a second playoff, otherwise it's over. Park Ji-young, no, it lips out. She cannot believe it. And Bang Min-ji is a winner for the 3rd time this season. Unorthodox fashion as it takes a playoff. And now the 13th win of her professional career. She's done it again.
네, 여러분 BC카드 한경 레이디스컵 2022의 우승자는 박민지 프로입니다. 큰 박수로 축하해 주시기 바랍니다.
Well, it was only supposed to be 54 holes. It needed a 55th.
다른 프로분들도 우승자에게 축하 세레모니를 해주고 있는데 훈훈한 모습이죠.
Doesn't matter how many times she's done this. It doesn't feel any less jarring, but it also doesn't feel any less special. 3rd win of the season. The celebrations are on.
이곳에서 잠시만 대기해 주시기를 부탁드리겠습니다.
아, 네.
손도 높이, 손좀 조금만 한 번만 더 높이.
잠깐만요. 바지가 좀.
This is what had cost Bang Min-ji so many times in the round, this exact kind of putt where it grabs it. That is perfect, if not for a little less pace. And the look of exasperation says it all. She did so well to get out of the sand and set it up. Just was not to be today. So the pursuit of multiple wins in the same season will continue for Park Ji-young. It is another runner-up finish. Which she has now done 4 times in her career to go on with her 4 wins. The jacket is on. She'll warm up, she'll dry off, and momentarily we'll be headed down to the ceremonies on this 18th green. And to look back the history of this tournament, how young China Na was when she won in 2015, the very first edition of this tournament. It was 12 under to get the job done, and then became the era of Oh Ji-hyun. 10 under in 2016, and then 16 under in 2017. Jae-jin, 14 under in 2018 to win the title. 2019 would see the year of Jo Jung-min, 12 under par in that. And then 2020, as we told you, it was a playoff to beat Peng Min-ji. 18 under, a 65 in the opening round, and smooth sailing from there. Last year, Im Gini, 10 under par, a final round 66. Should have another good showing on Sunday here today, but not quite enough to take the title away from Peng Min-ji, who has her redemption from 2020 now. So the final leaderboard, level after 54 holes. Peng Min-ji, Park Ji-young, 12 under, a 70 and a 69 respectively. Yoon Na, it was a big birdie at the last to take her to 11 under for the best finish of her career. Oh Ji-hyun came close within 2 strokes of a third title, or at least being in the playoff for a third title. Finishes in a tie at 10 under. And now here is Peng Min-ji in her post-round championship interview. Well, the awards presentations, they will be next. We showed you these highlights while we waited for the decisive playoff hole, but they're worth looking at again. Some pretty unbelievable shot striking in this pack, and honestly, the tone of it all feels a little bit different now that we know the end results. The approach on number 1, nearly an eagle, and the pin seeking. The approach game was on fire early in the round. And at this point, it was important because she did not start the day in the lead. In fact, it was the rookie who had the advantage after 36 holes by 2 strokes. But it only took 2 holes for Bang Min-ji to erase that deficit. There would be a bit of trouble early in the round. It wasn't all smooth sailing. So Jean had bogeyed the second, so it was a 2-stroke swing on number 2. Bang Min-ji had the lead until she bogeyed and relinquished it again. That allowed Park Ji-young to throw her hat in the ring with a birdie on number 3. And then this is where things really began to fall apart for the rookie. The putter let her down. Second bogey in 3 holes, the first of 3 bogeys in a row. Bang Min-ji, meanwhile, rebounding after her bogey at number 3 with the bird at 4. To number 5. This was Uni Na for birdie. She was 8 under at this point. Watch that one roll in. Her bogey came at number 3 to start the round. She wouldn't have another until 17. Her first of 4 on the day. And to end the 4 birdies in 5-hole start to the round, Bang Min-ji, similar to the putt on what we'll call number 19 from a pretty significant distance away. Fast forwarding now to number 9. Her bogey at 5. This was the second in a row to go out with a 34. Bang Min-ji, could she answer with one of her own? We know the answer, no. Catches the inside, goes 180 degrees around and stays out. And then on the 11th, Uni Na on the par 3. Knocks down the putt. Her first since the 8th. At that point, and it brought her to 11 under par. On to 15. It had been 5 holes between moments like this. Sometimes the bending knees are more of a plea to the golf gods, and more often than not, they don't come to fruition. It did that time for Park Ji-young. Then we go to 16. Still in search of the bogeys. Not again. A bogey at 16, and then to 18. Uni Na, after her bogey at 17, the drop stroke, she gets it right back to secure her 3rd place finish, a round of 70. The very impressive birdie and a career best for her. Fantastic week at Fortune Hills. It came down to these putts. One of them went in. We wouldn't need a playoff. Bang Min-ji hoping for some right to left break. Instead, it stayed straight, and she would be without a birdie since the 5th. That opened the door for Park Ji-young, and her miss was to the left. And both of the misses, they had been outright, not even grazing the cup to loop around. So we needed a playoff. Not quite like the 5-hole playoff we had a few weeks ago, because after this, a short approach from the fringe, Bang Min-ji would finally get back to her birdieing ways. Much to the delight of the supporters, it just took 15 holes between them. So that put the pressure on Park Ji-young to force a second playoff. She would glance it, she would not get it. It would stay out, and Bang Min-ji, humble in victory again. You celebrate your makes, you don't celebrate your opponent's misses. And a nice moment between the two as Bang Min-ji outlasts the field for her 3rd victory of the season. Oh Ji-hyun, a 2-under day of 70, just like Yoon Na had done. And the two-time champ would finish in a tie for fourth with Lee So-mi, who had a round of 68. Lee So-young also had a round of 68. And then you would see, of course, So-jin one step below with a 75 in the final round. Had she just been even, she would have been involved in the playoff. Not to be today, but lessons to be learned for the rookie. And now down to the 18th green for our awards
이번
presentations.
시상에는 한국 여자 프로골프 투어 강춘자 대표 이사님께서 수고해 주시겠습니다. 앞으로 나와 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 오늘 아마추어 1위에게는 트로피와 꽃다발이 수여되겠습니다. 네, 그럼 아마추어 1위 바로 발표하도록 하겠습니다. BC카드 한경 레이디스컵 2022 아마추어 1위는 212타 4언더파를 기록한 임지유 선수입니다. 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 아마추어 1위를 수상한 임지유 선수 다시 한번 진심으로 축하드립니다. 앞으로의 활약도 더 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 다음으로는 코스 레코드 시상입니다. 포천힐스 컨트리클럽의 코스 레코드는 2019년 김민선 선수가 4라운드에서 기록했던 63타였습니다. 이번에 그 기록을 갱신한 선수가 있었을까요? 아쉽지만 이번 연도에는 갱신한 선수가 없었습니다. 내년에 코스 레코드 기약해 보도록 하겠습니다. 다음으로는 홀인원 상입니다. 이번 대회는 4번 홀과 6번 홀, 14번 홀 이렇게 3개의 홀에서 홀인원이 걸려 있었고요. 부상으로는 신동아 골프에서 다이아몬드 1.3캐럿 목걸이, 프레드릭 콘스탄트에서 매뉴팩처 투르비용, 마세라티에서 기블리가 준비되어 있었습니다. 역시나 아쉽게도 상품이 걸린 홀인원 홀에서 홀인원을 기록한 선수는 이번 대회는 없었습니다. 역시나 내년 대회에서 멋진 홀인원 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 그럼 지금부터 본격적인 우승자에 대한 시상을 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 우승자에게는 우승 자켓과 트로피, 우승 상금 1억 4,400만 원이 수여되겠습니다. 그럼 오늘의 우승자를 바로 발표하겠습니다. BC카드 한경 레이디스컵 2022년 우승자는 204타 12언더파를 기록한 박민지 프로입니다. 여러분 뜨거운 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 한국경제신문의 김정호 사장님께서 우승 자켓을 입혀주시고 또 BC카드의 최원석 사장님께서 트로피와 상금 수표를 전달하도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 한국경제신문의 김정호 사장님께서 오늘의 멋진 그린 우승 자켓을 입혀주시겠습니다. 여러분 뜨거운 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 네, 기념 촬영까지 진행을 하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 이어서 BC카드의 최원석 사장님께서 트로피와 상금 수표를 전달하시겠습니다. 네, 여러분 응원의 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 네, 역시 트로피와 상금 수표증을 들고 기념 촬영 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 고맙습니다. 다음으로 포천힐스CC의 김철수 대표님께서 프레드릭 콘스탄트에서 제공하는 레이디 오토매틱 시계를 우승자 부상으로 전달해 주시겠습니다. 네, 역시 레이디스컵 권위에 걸맞은 아주 멋진 부상이 준비가 되어 있죠. 여러분 뜨거운 박수로 축하해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 다시 한번 축하드립니다. 마지막으로 한국 여자 프로골프 투어 강춘자 대표이사님께서 꽃다발을 전달하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 박민지 프로 오늘 꽃다발보다 더 아름다운 꽃이죠. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 네, 이번에는 우승자와 시상자 여러분 함께 기념 촬영을 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 5분 모두 함께 기념 촬영을 진행하겠습니다. 네, 멋진 우승 트로피를 들고 있는 박민지 프로에게 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
자, 앞에 보세요. 자, 걸어왔습니다.
Well, another week is in the books, and what almost seems like an inevitability, it is another week with Peng Min-ji receiving the check, receiving the sports coat, and taking top spot on the leaderboard. We'll shout out once again, EMGU, the low amateur for the week, a round of 71 to go along with rounds 1 and 2, 71 and 70 to finish in a tie for 26th position. So a tip of the cap to her, and of course, a tip of the cap to the entire 132 player field. And we salute you as well for being with us on yet another Championship Sunday on the LPGA Tour of Korea. We needed some playoff golf, always exciting when it comes down to the wire just like that, and we won't have to wait very long to do it all over again. Though it will be our first event for the month of July, it is another 3-round event coming up next at Birch Hill. It is the McCall Mona Park Open with SBS Golf. We will start our round 1 coverage on Friday at our normal time, which is, of course, 2 hours later than we started today at 3 p.m. local time when we head to Birch Hill. It was a thrilling one. We enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we thoroughly had the pleasure of bringing it to you. It is a tour like no other, won by a competitor like no other. Peng Min-ji outlasts Park Ji-young in the playoff to take home the title. For our entire SBS Golf crew, I've been Adam Jenkins, commending you and thanking you once again for being a part of event number 12 of 34 here on the LPGA Tour of Korea's 2020 season from the beautiful, the gorgeous Fortune Hills Country Club in Pocheon-si. Playoff golf. Nothing quite like it. We hope you enjoyed it. We thank you, and we will see you very soon. Friday, we're back at it again. Farewell for now. Be kind, be safe, and we'll talk to you real soon on the LPGA Tour of Korea. So long.
있으면 훅 살짝 거의 앞으로만 봐도 돼.